Welcome back. I'm Marty with Warehouse and Operations as a Career. Today, let's touch on leadership. We've discussed several different positions within the warehouse and transportation environments, and of course, what we're interested in. Our goal is to make more money, have a long-term job that we can turn into a career. Here in a bit, we'll be visiting with Jeremy. I can't wait to hear his advice and thoughts about today's topics and his experiences. I think you'll find them very interesting. We've talked about how to break into operations through an entry-level position and the importance of, or how to learn the task around us, take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to us, really participate in our startup meetings, and be noticed by our managers. Meet and exceed productivity requirements and let them know what our goals are and that we're ready for more responsibility. Our attendance and learned knowledge or on-the-job education will get us there. I honestly believe operations can offer us that career. I've been very fortunate in my work life. I've worked with and had the opportunity to promote many people into lead positions and supervisor roles and onto directors, several that went on to VP positions in warehousing, transportation, and VPs of operations. One takes on more responsibility with each new job, but as we've discussed, there's a direct correlation with more money and more experience or responsibilities. Several of us may be about ready to graduate into a lead position. We've shown our management team that we're dependable, met every objective given to us, and we understand our position and the positions connected to ours. What happens before we handle the product and where it goes after we've completed our task. By now, our supervisor should know. We've had several talks with them that we want more responsibility and will apply ourselves and perform as we're directed. Many times, in my experiences, the lead position is an hourly position. Usually comes with a bit of additional pay to accept a bit more responsibility regarding other employees. In both the distribution and production worlds, it could very well be a working role. A few of the additional responsibilities may be communicating direction from supervisors, maybe tasks like keeping rosters and schedules and overseeing projects for management, things like that. We typically won't have to worry about reporting or financials, but we'll need to keep our supervisor up to speed or in the loop with our team's progress and goals. This is another entry-level position, an entry-level position into management. The supervision role is the next step in management. Many times I feel it's misunderstood or entered into maybe a bit lightly on our part. Usually it's our first experience into the salary world. We've always compared our hours worked with the money that we made, at least in our minds at maybe a subconscious level anyway. By now we should really enjoy our jobs or tasks. Enjoy the work that we do, the industry that we're in, and this may be the next step in our goal path. Let's talk for just a minute about supervision. We've been working hourly, meaning we're paid X number of dollars an hour, and there's an overtime component added to it if we work over X number of hours each day or week, depending where we work. And our weekly pay fluctuates depending on how many hours we work each week. When we go salary, many times our first thought is, I make more money weekly than you're offering. Let's look at our new position. I know several facilities that calculate that starting salary based on a dollar amount, typically of a 45-hour week. Now, of course, if we generally work 40 or 43 hours a week, we consider that a raise. Of course, if we work 46 or 48 hours a week, we may think we lost money. But now we may be in a position to control how long we work. We can create efficiencies to get the job done quicker or implement all those ideals we had when we were on the floor and working for that old boss, right? Seriously though, we need to add in the education that we're getting, again for free, and all that we're going to be taught and the experiences that we're going to be exposed to. A lot of times there could be bonuses paid at this level as well. When goals or objectives are met, incentives may apply. This is the first step in our next set of goals, and hey, it's really needed if our goal is that VP position. One of my favorite quotes, at least regarding leadership, is by Dwight D. Eisenhower. Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he wants to do it. And on the flip side of that, he also left us with another quote. You do not lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership. One of the most challenging things we'll face in our lead and supervisor positions is working with and leading the same people that we used to work beside. We have some responsibilities now. Those friendships, they're going to change. They have to, really. We can't favor one over the other. We have a job to do. They have a job to do. And we are going to be responsible for getting it done. I feel we should just look at it as maybe two types of relationships, a personal one and a business one. We just have to remember business has to come first, and if we learn to be good leaders, we'll know the difference. We'll be talking a lot more about leadership in upcoming episodes. I love management roles, and feel free to shoot us an email with any questions or thoughts you have about leadership, and we'll discuss them on here or on our blog. We talk quite a bit about leadership on our Twitter feed each week as well. We see some really good articles there, and I'll try to post anything that I notice or get it retweeted. Today we have Jeremy joining us for a bit. Jeremy has had a great career in operations. Like us, he came up through the warehouse, held many positions up to and including Director of Operations at a large distribution facility, and has ventured into sales now, working with several light industrial industries. Jeremy, thanks for visiting with us, taking a few minutes out of your day today, sir.
Well, I appreciate it, Marty. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I've been following your podcast for a while now, and I'm honored to be part of the show.
Fantastic. So tell us a bit about your work history and how you got started in operations.
Well, it's a pretty long story, but I've been associated with warehousing and distribution since I was too young to be in one. My father was in the industry for over 35 years, and he used to take me and my brothers to his facility and make us sweep the floors. I officially started working in a warehouse when I was about 18, and I spent about 18 years working for a proprietary-based food distribution company. Within that time frame, I did every job you could imagine, and I always prided myself on doing the best I could at everything I tried. To give some overall insight on my career, I started in general warehouse, and I did that for about 5 years. Within that, I did selection, forklift operation, loading, receiving, kind of anything you could imagine I did in the general warehouse. From there, I transitioned into a lead man role. I did that for roughly around 3 years. And within the lead man role, I think I had a shipping crew of about 15 warehouse employees that I oversaw on a daily basis and just kind of handled the overall functionality of a shipping shift. I took a step from that into a supervisor role. That was a big step for me. I moved from Texas to Denver, and I took my first salaried role in leadership. I did that for about 4 years, and while doing that position, I oversaw a shift of 20 to 30 warehouse employees, and that entailed everything associated to shipping as well. My next step was into a warehouse manager's job, and I did that for about 3 years. As a warehouse manager, I had a total head count of 40 to 50 employees, and that entailed every function of warehousing: shipping, receiving, inventory, facilities, maintenance, systems, and cost control. That was a really good learning experience for me, and it really delved into the cost control part and all the functions of the warehouse that I kind of never touched in the general operational stuff I did in the past. My last position that I had was a director of operations, and that was the number 2 of the distribution center that I was in, and I did that for about 3 years. By the time I reached the director's job, I had roughly 150 employees that I was responsible for. I ran a 165,000 square foot building, and I had a delivery radius that was over 50% of the nation, with the farthest reaching point being Anchorage, Alaska.
That's a great accomplishment in career there, Jeremy, and really the blueprint we're always discussing here at WAOC.
Yeah, it definitely started on the floor and worked my way up.
We're all interested in landing a career. Now, of course, that career may be any position we really enjoy, or we may have a goal of management and working towards that. What do you look for in that solid employee that defines leadership qualities to you, and what are you looking for in that leader?
I used to have this conversation with a lot of my, hourly associates that wanted to advance in their career and take on leadership roles. The one thing I used to tell everybody is that anyone can be taught the systems and the clerical portions of the job if they have the desire to learn. However, the true sign of a leader is your ability to have others follow you. In my personal career, all the best leaders I have known had a great talent at engaging with their employees and getting them to believe in the same goals as them. I found it amazing that once you have everyone striving to accomplish the same thing as a team, that the things you can achieve are just above and beyond anything you could ever imagine.
Well put, sir. Being honest, fair, and being a good listener, that's going to carry you a long way towards becoming that good leader.
And knowing about their personal lives and just having a personal connection with your staff, not necessarily going out and socializing with them all the time, but really humanizing the relationship and making sure that they know that you're there to support them.
You're absolutely right. I always tried to know, the birthdays. Matter of fact, I would put everyone's birthday on my calendar just to where I can connect with them. And you make a really good point about, going out and socializing. That's probably the hardest, or it was for me anyway, the hardest thing to learn was I got to separate my personal from business. There can't be any favoritism or things like that when you get that first promotion.
I agree. I had several situations throughout my career where people would view my previous relationships, people that I had known and selected cases with and I'd socialized with in the past, as a hinderment. And it wasn't necessarily a hinderment as far as my ability to make decisions, but to them, you're right, it showed favoritism in some way, somehow. In their eyes, it showed it. It might have not been there, but people do perceive it that way.
So true. In today's markets, do you feel operations still affords those great opportunities it did back in our days?
It's an interesting question, and I'd have to say yes. I'm a firm believer in the fact that the knowledge gained in an operations career is something that's very valuable. The great thing about an operations career is that there's so many different avenues you can pursue within one employer to expand your knowledge base and advance your career. I've always found that a career is all about what you make it to be. And if a person truly applies themselves, then they will attain their goals. Personally, I've been able to take all the things that I learned throughout my tenure in operations and utilize it to work in the sales industry. My knowledge base has allowed me to help my clients by providing distribution-specific solutions for all their operational needs. So I took what I learned and I applied it to something new that's working out for me.
I agree with every point that you spoke to. Those careers are there, and it's really our responsibility to reach for them, learn everything that we can, educate ourselves, and really just go get them.
I agree, Marty. I really do. It's all about how much you drive yourself.
So true. Could you share your thoughts on the technologies that's available in our fields now? The WMS systems or warehouse management systems and all the unloading and selection systems that's being used today?
Yeah, when I was starting in warehousing, I was at the very basic foundation of it all. There really wasn't a lot of technology involved in anything we did. And it's amazing in the last 20 years how much it's advanced. The best way to describe it is the general premise of a warehouse management system, or WMS, is there to automate the processes of tracking, measuring, and monitoring the functions of a warehouse. Every facility that has a complete WMS is one giant Wi-Fi network that uses radio frequency-based equipment to send and receive data. This equipment allows information to be directly sent into the WMS versus having to be written down and hand-keyed in by a clerical position. Right now, there's several different variations on warehouse management systems, and they've all been built to accomplish the same thing. However, they just have different forms of data capture. Some of the examples of data capture by category that the systems have the ability to do is they can track inventory levels, track shelf lives, track payroll. They can measure productivity efficiencies. They can measure order accuracy. They can measure engineered standards. They can monitor employee locations. They can monitor facility temperatures. They can monitor employee activity. All of the things that we used to have to do manually, they've been able to take that and automate it. That's always been the best way that I've been able to explain it to people.
Exactly. And, everything in a warehouse is about documentation, from all the regulations or the rules or the audits, things like that. And I'm finding that, the WMSs presently, they just really are saving us time. And I think they're all very, very worthwhile.
They are. They've taken some of the human error out of the whole scheme of things in warehousing. And it's not necessarily saying that things still can't happen because there's still a user behind the system, but it's definitely made it more efficient and more accurate.
It has. WAOC is all about being the best, getting noticed, self-educating, if you will, and being that employee. Any parting words of wisdom you would like to share with us today? In other words, make us successful leaders, sir.
Well, a good philosophy that I live by is that anyone can point out a problem or issue. That's the easy part. The hard part is to come up with a solution to that problem. My advice would be to always try to be part of the solution and not the issue. You will find that this philosophy will make you a great resource to your team, and it'll make you stand out amongst your colleagues. It's something that has always worked for me.
I love the always try to be a part of the solution and not the issue. You know, our jobs as leaders are to go over those walls and accomplish the goal, right?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's too common that people tend to get frustrated with this problems and issues that they come across, and versus trying to really think it through, they would rather just kind of bring it to somebody else's attention.
Absolutely. Jeremy, thank you for taking a few minutes with us today. You make a lot of good points and gave us plenty to think about. We really appreciate it. Could we twist your arm to come back and visit with us again sometime, sir?
Oh, I'd love to. You know, all of these questions that you postured to me really made me kind of go back in my brain a little bit, and there's a lot of things that I'd like to share. So I'd be willing to be on your show anytime you'd have me, Marty.
Outstanding. And I'd like to thank each of you for listening in today as well. I hope we've triggered some thoughts and brought something of value to you today. Please share any thoughts or comments with us or topics you'd like us to talk about. Shoot us an email, host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com, and check out our Twitter and Facebook feeds each week. Until next week, have a safe, productive, and prosperous week.